Hello, everyone, and welcome to What's New in Revit 2025. My name is Juliana, and I work in marketing here at MicroCAD. And today's presenter is Sandra, our applications specialist. At today's webinar, we'll explore exciting new updates and tools to enhance your building design and documentation process. As usual, throughout the webinar, you can ask Sandra to revisit a step or ask any questions. This is your time, and we want you to make the most of it. And in the upper left-hand corner, you will find links to our social media, website, and YouTube channel. Also, you will find the registration section so you can see all of our webinars and register. And even if you cannot make it, we highly encourage you to register so you can get the on-demand recording. We also post all of our webinars on our YouTube channel at the end so you can share with colleagues or rewatch it on your own time. And without further ado, I'll pass it on to Sandra. Hi, Sandra.
Hi, Juliana. Thank you for that beautiful presentation. Hi, everybody. Let me start sharing my screen. And while that gets going, let me introduce myself. My name is Sandra Vogemuth. I have been an applications engineer specialist in MicroCAD now for 4 years. And Juliana, can you confirm that my screen is being shared properly? No, I'm not seeing it.
It is.
Awesome. As I was saying, I have been a application specialist with MicroCAD for the last 4 years. I have a long experience with Revit. I have been a Revit user, advisor, and everything else since 2005. I was a BIM-CAD manager in an MEP firm for 7 years. So I know the software, have been presenting the what's new versions every year, and I'm always very excited about what Autodesk adds to the software every year. So first of all, in my next slide, I'm going to reiterate to all of you that the new releases of the software are usually, I would say more than 50% of whatever gets added to the software is being suggested to Autodesk by you, the end users. There is, and this slide that I'm showing you is the Revit ideas slide, and the Autodesk developers, they always keep an eye on this forum. It is in the, if you go to the Autodesk website and you go to the community, and in the community, you go to Autodesk products, and under Autodesk products, you look for the Revit Ideas Forum. That is the location where you can contribute to the development of the software and maybe get the software to do the things that you have been thinking for many years that it should do. So without further ado, let's dive straight into 2025. I am going to try to bounce between my PowerPoint presentation and show you actually the actual version so that you see the interface. The first thing that I want to point out is that there is an option of choosing a new home, so that the way that you see the home screen changes. Let me show you that live in Revit. When you come here to the Revit interface, notice down here it has this button that allows you to turn the new home on. And this is what it does. And then it allows you to sort your recent projects either by date modify or by type. When you divide them by type, it will give you Revit projects and families afterwards. So that is something that I wanted to make you aware of. Let me go back to my PowerPoint. That is what is explained here. Next big improvement is that when you have coordination models and you go to the ACC and you go to your coordinate tab, you will see the coordination model changes, and it will show you the changes by showing different colors for the changes. So new elements that have been added, or elements that have been modified, or elements that have been deleted will be highlighted. As of the last version of this new release, as you always know, Autodesk pushes out the release, and then usually there is a 25.1 version of the software. So this, in the latest version, this will back up Navisworks files and IFC files. Next thing, and this I find like really cool, really cool thing that happened, is that there are sheet collections, and meaning that you can create a sheet collection going to the Sheets tab and right-clicking on it. You can create a new sheet collection, and then you can divide and you can classify your sheets, right? And then you will be able to print specific sheets. So you can divide your sheets by design documentation, and then the sheet collection will be assigned when you are in the actual sheet. And then when you go to a floor plan, the floor plan will tell you in what sheet collection it is located. So it's a new parameter. Let me bring you into Revit and show you how that looks exactly in the Revit interface. Just give me a moment. I have a little dialog box hidden here in the background. Yes. So, as I was saying, if you come here to Sheets and you click on New Sheet Collection, it creates this collection here that you can rename. So I'm going to call it, for example, DD, and then I can start putting sheets. It's like a new node under each sheet. Okay, back to my PowerPoint. With that new sheet collection, when you go to print, you will be able to define in your select views and sheets dialog box that there will be a column that allow you to select the sheets that are in a specific sheet collection, or you can filter them out, right? When you go and you start to create your print sets, you can filter out your sheets and by whatever collections you created. I find that feature really useful. My little nerdy hands were doing a clappy dance on that. For our MEP users, the export to GBXML is supporting the recent version, the most recent version to GBXML. If you know, you can export your MEP models, create actually your spaces, and create an analytical model and export it to GBXML, and then use that in your heating and cooling load softwares. So this is including support for HVAC data systems, zone equipment, air systems, and water loops. So this is very important for our MEP friends. Next thing over, I need to point this out. The interface has had some enhancements. They moved controls that were previously located in the options bar, have been moved to the properties and to the ribbons. So line arc, the keep concentric, area rules, modify scale tool. I'm pointing this out so that if you were used to look for specific tools in your options bar, it's not that the tool is gone. Look for it either in the properties palette or on the ribbon. The linked topography has been improved. If you have a topography that you brought in from Civil 3D and you linked that to create your topography in Revit, when the revised link is reloaded into Revit, as long, and there's a little disclaimer there, there's a little parenthesis there, as long as the changes were not huge, the linked hosted elements that are sitting on that linked topography, like site components and planting and spot annotations and subdivisions and other similar elements are preserved. One note, the slab edges will not be preserved, and the other little disclaimer there, if the geometry of the reloaded link has changed, huge changes, land movement in that topography and whatever, then sometimes host facets will no longer appear in the geometry and the elements will not be rehosted. Okay, this applies to face-based elements. And now that I jumped into topography, huge improvements to toposolids. Right? And toposolids A nowadays, you can excavate toposolid volumes. And then what is really cool that when you can excavate your toposolids is that you can actually create later on an excavation schedule and see how the volume of land that was moved from that topography. The shaft tool in a toposolid, right now you can control the bottom of the shaft. It's not that you couldn't use the shaft tool in toposolids in versions prior, but in this version you have control over the bottom of that shaft and just cut to a certain point in your topography. When you cut into your topography either through a boolean, through a shaft or through an excavation, you will be able to host elements in that topography that is the resultant of that Boolean operation. Very, very cool feature, I think. The shape editing of the toposolid has been improved in the sense that you can set the elevation point from the top plane of your toposolid. Little disclaimer on there that when you create your toposolid, you have to create the toposolid that really has some volume, some real volume. They cannot be mega thin. Okay. You can enable through the massing and site tab. You can go to model and site, and there is a toposolid smooth shading. And then your topography, when it's when your view has a is being shaded or is being shown in a realistic mode, it won't, your topography won't look faceted. It will look more realistic, better shaded. Your contours, this to me is really cool. I don't know if you have tried to create toposolids before, where you were just placing points and dots and it was giving you a weird triangulation of your lines, and you would not see the actual contour lines until you finish the editing the elevation points. At this point, when you are editing the points and the edges, you will actually see the contour lines. Okay, when you bring in, this is also very cool. When you're working with legacy files, and I don't know if you were aware, but building paths disappeared like 2 versions ago. When you're converting those topo surfaces to topo solids, they will retain the building paths as excavated areas. And that is very cool because that means that all your work that you had done with building paths is not going to waste and it's not disappearing. Next, and I'm going to be spending a while with topo solids because I think that was the tool that really got improved and changed. When you are editing your shapes, you can create the topo solid, you can create the floor, and then you can enable through this button here to snap the editor points to the C value of wherever that floor is, and then it will snap to that floor and it will adapt your topography to those elevations. The only thing that you need to remember is that you need to put a check marker on the snap to XYZ button, and then you have to choose this as XYZ, and then you will be able to snap to these points. These screenshots were taken out of Revit itself. The next improvement that I need to talk about, and this is also really, really cool, and let me jump into Revit for a moment and go to a floor plan view. And I'm going to use this floor plan, but I'm going to jump a little bit here off to the side. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, I need to have a little bit of freedom of movement here. And I am going to come and start a wall command, and I'm going to choose this exterior IFC on metal stud. Part of the things that you need to do on this wall for this next tool to work is that you have to allow the wrapping, right? So I'm going to allow exterior wrapping, and I'm going to allow here both. And I'm going to draw my wall. I need to see my layers, so I'm going to show them as fine. So first tool that I'm sorry, just give me a moment. Just bear with me 1 second. Let me show you this better on this project. And I like this wall so much better. So a couple of things that I want to show here that happen to the wall tool. Need to have fine. So when I select the wall, notice that in Canvas now, you have the option to allow or disallow the joints. And this is happening in the actual Canvas. So if I disallow the joint, this happens, or I can allow the joint back in. This was before you needed to come somewhere here and allow the wall joints and start this tool and come and choose the different options. So this is happening in Canvas now. And now let me just delete this little wall here. And let me select this wall and go where I was before and allow the wrapping, because once you allow the wrapping, it is going to give you another two little icons that I find very cool, right? So right now, the materials are wrapping, as you can see. When I select the wall, I can change that behavior from the canvas itself, within the canvas itself. I can change it for right now it's not wrapping, the materials are not wrapping, and now they are wrapping. Okay, and those are tools that are in the canvas now. And I wanted to show those in the actual software because I thought that those were also very cool. Let's jump back to my PowerPoint, where this is explained what I showed you in the software. And this is another thing that is in the wall tool. When you start the wall command, notice that now you have this auto join. So for example, if I grab an 8-inch wall, I'm going to use my finished face exterior, and I'm going to draw a wall. And then I'm going to choose the auto join, and I'm going to use the finished face exterior and set another wall here, and they're automatically joined. Okay, and that is, again, just to remind you, you can choose auto join, and then you can use auto join and lock that wall that is being added. Back to my trusted PowerPoint presentation. That is what this tool shows that I showed you in the interface itself. This I just showed you, and as I mentioned, you need to, for this little icons to appear, just as a reminder, you need to go to the wall type properties, go to the structure, and allow the wrapping behavior. Okay, and to me, those were my favorite enhancements. There are other enhancements for MEP because we have a little bit of a time constraint. I chose at this point my favorite ones. One thing that I forgot to mention, this is also huge. You all know that when you're printing huge PDFs, Revit goes into no one can touch me mode, and you have to go and take a break, drink a coffee, chat with your friends while it finishes printing. PDF printing now happens in the background, and you can continue working. Okay, I don't know how many people are going to be happy about this, but it enhances your productivity. And on that note, let me open up the floor for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Sandra. Let me go over the questions now. Okay, the first question is, when would you start working with the new version of Revit? How long would you wait after the new software is released? That's a good question.
Um, as I said, usually the software gets released. I mean, 2025 came in the 2nd of April. If I was an end user, I would download that version to investigate it, but I would not start working in it. I would let the software mature at least 3-4 months. At this point in the year, we're already 3 months into the software. They have ironed out some kinks that the software has. Make sure you're updated to the latest version. The latest version is 25.1. And I would start my new projects on that version. I would not wait any longer. There is a couple of really cool new features, and I'm a nerd, so I'm always into working with the latest and greatest.
Thank you. The next question is, would you recommend migrating work models from an older version to the new version?
Oh, that is a very good question. That is a very, very good question. Um, my recommendation is get going with the new version now. Get your new projects in this new version. Uh, Bigger projects that are already running and very advanced in prior releases, leave them in the prior releases. I am not such a huge advocate of moving mature projects into the newer releases. Just because sometimes the technology changes so much that you might lose some features. Um, but I would definitely, at this point, I would definitely take the advantages of the new features of the software, and any new projects. As I said before, I would start any new projects that I get going at this point in the year. I would get them rolling in 2025 already. I would not wait any longer. Yeah,
Perfect.
that's.
Thank you. Another question. How do you think AI technology will be implemented into Revit?
Well, the way I'm seeing Autodesk advance, we have already a little bit of computer programming through Dynamo into Revit. Um, we have Forma that is starting to use AI, that has a really cool round trip between Forma and Revit. So I'm very curious to see what Autodesk does. I mean, the imagination is the limit, and they are very, very imaginative in Autodesk. So I'm sure, I mean, we saw it with tools that create automatic layouts for us for desks, and uh, I'm sure that, I mean, that is the direction that Autodesk is going. So let's wait and see what happens. The future is bright.
Yeah. Okay. I don't see any more questions right now, but I would like to remind everyone that if you want to learn any of this in detail, you can take a custom training with Sandra or someone else on our team. And we also offer group classes online. So, yeah, I wanted to go ahead and um, show you the upcoming webinars. So, we have on July 10th, the Autodesk New Buying Experience webinar. We will explain everything you need to know. Then on July 11, we'll have what's new in Civil 3D 2025. And July 18, we'll have maximizing efficiency, 10 time saving tips for Revit MEP workflows. And Sandra will be presenting this one as well, so it should be very exciting. And again, if you cannot make it, just register so you can get the on demand recording. And yeah, if we don't have more questions, I would like thank you, Sandra, and thank everyone for attending. Please be sure to be checking the MicroCAD website for future webinars. And I think this concludes our webinar today, if we didn't forget anything. Did we, Sandra?
No, I think we're good. And thank you, everybody, for joining me in this webinar today. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.